Okay, so I decided. Well, it's me and Miss Meister making a video again. So she's behind the camera today.
Hey, guys.
Yeah. Just because like the last video I made with the dihybrid crosses in the genetics section, you got to go step by step through a thing, kind of do some drawing and stuff yourself. So doing the step by step stuff, I find that I really like the way the video went last time. You gave people the chance to go back and make sure they got every step. So we're going to do the same thing this time. Just to catch everybody up on and kind of jog memories on what we've been talking about, the whole logic behind this, which is what we're going to be making ourselves. This is a cladogram, if you remember from last class. The logic behind this picture is in these 4 key points. We'll go through them one more time, one by one. So remember, evolution results in new species forming. Evolution results in new species forming all the time. Evolution is always happening, never stops, which means new species are always forming kind of all the time. And if you take that one step kind of further logically, that means that all species evolved from a previous species. And if you go back far enough in time, that means all species are kind of related through a common ancestor. So when a species evolves from another species, that species that it evolved from is its common ancestor. And if you go far enough back in time, back and back and back and back, all organisms are related through one common ancestor. It's the whole tree of life thing. Like my poster on the wall, but we won't turn the camera today. Well, I guess we can. So yeah, blue dot at the bottom, origin of life, single cell thing. This is the same thing you're seeing on that screen, just with more organisms. So just to make this logically connect one more time. This is the ancient common ancestor of today's Asian and African elephant. These are all, every time you see a branch point like this, these are speciation events. These are times when new species evolved. Many of the species that are common ancestors of today's elephants are now extinct. But if you go back in time, this was put together probably with fossil evidence, but if you go back in time, you can find the common ancestor of today's elephants and kind of put them on a chart like this that we call a cladogram. If we go back beyond just elephants, you can build cladograms like this that have a whole bunch of different kinds of organisms on them. They're showing you the same thing. They're showing you that sharks and birds share some characteristics. They share that they have a backbone, and that means that the common ancestor of sharks and birds probably had a backbone too. As you look at this cladogram, there are, I'll stick to this slide so it's don't just ramble on. But remember, cladograms, just like the one with the elephants on the previous screen, they represent evolutionary relationships. They represent the relationship between each of the organisms across the top. The rules for reading one of these, which is the key skill that you need to have, being able to read one of these, and then next slide we're going to be able to build one of these. We need to know which organism is more closely related than others, and this also tells us kind of what characteristics are shared. So the basic rules are this. So the shorter the distance on a line, the more closely related an organism is. So if you travel the distance on a line between birds and crocodiles is close, that means they're more closely related than birds and rodents or rabbits. So birds are more closely related to crocodiles than they are to rodents and rabbits. Rodents and rabbits are closely related to primates. Primates are not very related to sharks. Second thing, in terms of the characteristics that were used to put this cladogram together, if an organism is above a characteristic, it has that characteristic. So all of the organisms on this cladogram have a backbone. All of the organisms except for sharks have a bony skeleton. Sharks have a cartilage skeleton. All of the organisms except for sharks and fish have 4 limbs. All of the primates and rodents and rabbits are the only ones with hair and fur. Birds are the only ones that have all of those characteristics. So if it's above a characteristic, it has that characteristic. Okay. That's the basics for reading these. And again, if you need to start and stop or go back, you can. Next slide. This is the one where we need to make our own cladogram. So we're going to build one of these. there are 2 steps to this. The first step is to complete a table like this. So you might get, well, I'll save it until we build this to tell you what you might get as a test question on the milestone. But 2 steps. The first step is to complete your table, and the second step is use your table to put together your cladogram. So all you're going to do is you've got your characteristics here: cellular, multicellular, backbone, legs, and thumbs, and you've got your organisms here. All you do, put a plus if an organism has that characteristic, put a minus if it does not. So amoebas are cellular. They're not multicellular, they don't have a backbone, they don't have legs, and they don't have thumbs. Slugs are cellular, they're also multicellular, but no backbone, no legs, no thumbs. And I'll just run through the rest of it. This one works out. This one is kind of constructed to be easy as a model. You won't always have it so that it lines up quite like this. Your pluses and minuses might be jumbled around, but for our purposes, this works. So you've got humans are the only ones that have all of the characteristics, and amoebas are the only ones that have just the one characteristic. Okay, that's step 1, complete the chart. Step 2 is to put your cladograms together. To make things a little bit easier to look at, down the side, put your number of pluses for each organism. Number of pluses. So amoebas have 1, and this is going to work out like this. And then with your characteristics too, also put the number of pluses. And this is going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, like that. Okay. Next step. This is where you start drawing your cladogram. And step number 1, just draw a diagonal line. Like so. Diagonal line, that's it. And then we've got 5 organisms that we're going to put on here. The end of this line counts as one of your spots, so you just need 4 more spots across. So I'm going to go, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Basic cladogram put together. And now I need to put my organisms across the top and my characteristics up the spine of the cladogram. And I need to make sure that I set it up so that the organism here has the characteristic here, but does not have the characteristic here. And this is where our numbers come in. Just to kind of make things easy, you know that the organism that has the least number of characteristics is going to go furthest to the left. So that's my amoeba. And for one like this, it's kind of simple, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since I know the amoeba is going to go here, this is going to be 2 characteristics. I can just go 1 through 5, like that. So amoeba, slug, snake, owl, and human. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left to right. Ace in the order. Characteristics, all you got to remember is you do exactly the opposite, because human is going to have the highest number of characteristics, but amoeba is going to have the least, so you go from 5 to 1 this way. So you go opposite order, just follow your numbers, and I can put my dashes for where my characteristics go. 1. I said that backwards. I've said this backwards several times.
But that's right though. So you go 1 through 5.
1 through 5 down.
Down.
And 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Legs.
Multicellular
Backbone. Thank you.
and cellular.
And now, just kind of with the numbers, and this, like, I'll say the numbers make it helpful because if this is all jumbled up, then it just makes it so you don't have to analyze the graph every time you're trying to put this together. You can just pay attention to the numbers. But this puts you perfectly together. Amoeba is cellular, slug is multicellular and cellular. You've got all your characteristics and organisms in the right spot. I will say in terms of the test, you're not going to have to do this, but you do have to recognize the relationship between this and this. So you might be given a chart, and you'll have to know which cladogram would go with it. And again, actually, I think those are the basics. This gets a little bit more complicated to do I won't talk about that. I'll just leave it with this. At the end, just make sure characteristics and organisms have the correct relationship, and yeah, and you're good.